Join Charlie Malouf as he explores the personal journeys of Broad River Retail's very own memory makers. Welcome to Stories from the River.
Colin, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Charlie. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Man, you've been highly requested, highly suggested. I'm so excited that we finally got you on here and that our schedules were able to align. I know you've got a lot of great things brewing in the DC and in operation, so I'm excited to share your story with our audience.
Yeah, likewise. I'm ready. I know it's been a long journey so far, and I'm happy to share it.
All right. How you feeling today?
Feeling great.
Let's do it. So to get us started, I always like to kind of know a little bit about the story before the story. Tell us a little bit about you, your career, your background, your life prior to joining the River.
Yeah. So before I joined the River, we'll time skip a little here. As soon as I left high school, I was really into music, and I joined a band with some guys that I'd known for a few years, and I consistently started playing music with them. We wrote a couple albums, started playing local shows in the Charlotte area, eventually got a little bit more notoriety, started touring around the country for a year and a half. Great experience with them, but things change, priorities change. So I said, hey, I need to, stop working part-time, get something that I can actually rely on. So I started working in a retail company for a little bit, and then said, hey, this isn't necessarily what I want to do. I'd like to really try working in warehouses. I mean, I see it, and it seems like a great career path. So I had a family member that worked in the grocery industry, and I said, hey, I really like what I hear from you about this company. Can I join? Got me in, and that's when I met some of the people that we're still working with to today.
Okay.
I joined that, and I feel like that really prepared me for the Broad River experience.
So I want to just double click on a couple of those. There's a big grocery company headquartered here in town. Is it Harris Teeter?
It is, yes.
Okay, wonderful. And great company to work with, I'm sure. Now, what was the name of your band?
One of the bands that I played with at that time was called Persistent Shadow.
Persistent Shadow.
Persistent Shadow. We played pretty regularly at local venues like the Neighborhood Theater or the Underground, the subset of the Fillmore. We played at a lot of places in Noda and all around Charlotte, Greensboro, Gastonia. We played there first, starting, and like I said, we gained some notoriety after a bit and then started touring.
And what did you play?
So I play guitar. I actually got into music from my grandfather. He plays in a local band called the Village Green Band. It's like bluegrass and gospel together. And he gave me my first guitar when I was 12. And
that's awesome.
Been a constant source of encouragement and teaching me how to understand music and loving to play it. He inspired me to it.
Both my boys take guitar lessons. They do it via Zoom with an instructor, and they're trying to learn. They're getting into music. So, what type of music was it?
So it was a metal band.
Metal band, okay.
I love the energy. I love the camaraderie that you get when you're out touring with your brothers. I love the energy. That's the main thing.
Colin, can we download some of your band's music on Spotify or Apple Music?
You can, actually. I haven't been in the band for a few years, but they haven't released anything, but it's still on Spotify.
When you were with the band, it's still out there? All right. Can we put the link to that in the show notes? Is that?
Sure, yeah. We can get you that link.
We're gonna do that. We're gonna share Colin's pre-operations music in the show notes. That'll be awesome. Okay, so when did you join Broad River Retail?
So I joined Broad River Retail March 4th of 2019.
Okay, so nearly 4 years now.
Coming up on it, a little over 3.5 now.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And what was it about this opportunity with Broad River that was most attractive to you?
So I think it was the work-life balance that was presented to me. Previously in my job at Harris Teeter, I had been working, 80-hour weeks every week back to back. And, just wasn't a whole lot of recognition there. So I got a call from James Ouellette who said, hey, I think we've got this role at Broad River. I think you'd be perfect for it. And he told me about it. We probably spent about an hour on the phone at least telling me about the company, kind of how the roles work. And the way he sold Broad River to me, it was just like, this is where I need to be.
Okay. Did he oversell it or undersell it or rightly sell it?
I think he sold it perfectly.
Okay.
I think
Awesome.
exactly.
So so take us, I mean, I want to go through your career progression, but what did you start? What role did you get recruited in as?
So I got recruited as an ops supervisor specifically for the inbound department.
What were you doing previously in the previous role at Harris Teeter?
What wasn't I doing? I started there as an order selector and did that for a couple of months. And by that point, James and a couple of the other supervisors had already realized, like, well, we need to get this guy into the office doing some more advanced tasks because he can definitely handle it. So I'm thankful for that every day. But while I was there, I was more so doing what would be considered almost supervisor level tasks here at Broad River.
But not with the title?
Not with the title, no.
So you came here for like a better title, better role, better culture, better work-life balance. And then you've quickly ascended, through various promotions. So walk us through your career arc with Broad River. So ops supervisor of inbound, right? And then so take us through it.
Yeah, so March 4th, 2019, started as ops supervisor of inbound. Had the pleasure of being trained and being kind of told the Broad River way by Homer Smith and James Ouellette partnering with me, really kind of giving me that encouragement every day. Started to really understand the environment. And then we heard about Project Acorn with Four Oaks, DC. And James had planted that seed with me and said, hey, this is coming up. It's on the horizon. And it just so happened that y'all wanted me to go there. And I took the opportunity, became an assistant manager of outbound, did that for a little over a year. And then I was needed back here in Charlotte. Came back as a manager this time of inbound. And now, as of July this year, I'm the manager for operational excellence.
Okay, so you were in Fort Mill for a year. The seeds were planted for you to move to Project Acorn in Four Oaks, North Carolina, and help us bring some of our culture from Fort Mill to Four Oaks. You helped open that distribution center. I want to get into that project. And then you were there for a year, and then you took another promotion to come back. And is that how that worked?
Yes, sir. That's exactly how it went.
Okay. We're going to dig into that. So I tend to believe that it's been almost 4 years, but I've heard you succinctly say March 4th, 2019. So it sounds like that day has resonance with you. Do you remember your first day at the river? And if so, what do you remember about that day?
I remember my first day very vividly. I remember that my car wouldn't start that morning.
Oh, no.
And I said, this is not the day for this to happen. But I just happened to have my motorcycle set up on the side of the driveway. I said, all right, it's like 30 degrees, but this is the first day of the new job. I've got to get here. So I threw on a couple extra layers, started up the motorcycle, and drove the 30 minutes over here to the DC. And I remember meeting Luz out in the parking lot. I didn't have my key card yet or anything. And I was there to open the building with the supervisor that I was going to be working with. And Luz just greeted me so warmly. I'd been freezing on that ride over there, but the way she greeted me and said hello, it warmed me up inside a bit.
That's awesome.
So we got inside. I met my new partner in crime, Trey Smith, and he started showing me the ropes, introducing me to the team. Later on that day, once James Ouellette got in, we swung by, said hello. He said, hey, you made it. You're finally here. Welcome home.
That's awesome. Did they take you to lunch that day?
We did not.
Oh, come on. We got to talk to him about that. So our organizational purpose is furnishing life's best memories. Do you have a favorite Broad River story or memory that you can share with us?
I've got to say the one that stands out the most is when we initially got on site to Four Oaks, DC. Before it was open to the public, we were still doing construction there. We looked at the building and said, this is actually happening.
That's cool. That's cool. How early was that before it opened?
So I didn't step foot in that building until I think February 1st of that year. So
several weeks before.
We had about 6-7 weeks to get ready.
Awesome. If you could go back to your first day, what would you tell yourself about what life is going to be like at Broad River Retail?
I would go back and tell myself, buckle up. It's going to be a wild ride. You're going to be going around everywhere, but it's going to be the best thing that's happened to you so far.
And wear a couple extra layers.
Wear a couple extra layers. It's going to get cold.
Yeah. All right. So we talked about let's go into the Rock. So you moved there. Were you were prepared just to move to? Did you live in Four Oaks or near there?
So we were living in Charlotte at the time, but we had known, hey, this opportunity is coming up. We need to be ready to go. So 3 of the other people that were coming with us from Fort Mill decided, hey, we're going to get a big house together. And for the first couple months while we're down there, we're going to stay in this whole huge house together. And, we'll see each other at work and when we get home from work.
That's cool.
And it worked out really well. We got along really well.
So who were those 3 other people?
So one of them was Austin Wilson.
Okay.
And the other guy was Jake Friday, who's unfortunately no longer with us.
Okay. And was this like in Clayton or Garner?
So we were right there near the Clayton area. It was so nice. We only had a 10-minute drive to work.
That is nice.
You could come home, eat lunch during your lunch break. It was fantastic.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, let's talk about when Four Oaks opened and what was going on in the world at that time, March 2020. COVID-19 was declared a global pandemic by the World Health Organization. And we had a brand new distribution center, which you had moved to Raleigh area to help open. And we had to hire 36 people, train them, onboard them. And people were scared of each other and scared of this invisible virus, this brand new coronavirus. And we didn't know if people were going to furlough, come into work, get product, not get product. But we knew that rent was starting and we had to open this DC. What was that like at that time?
So when we got the call that evening, I believe it was March 16th, we had just put the finishing touches of those 6 weeks of work on the building. We said, we've already done the hiring, we're ready to go. And it was a shock to hear that. But us being operations, we said, there's no way we're going to stop. This product will not flow out of here if it's not for this ops team. And we've got these people, we made a promise to them that they're going to have a job to support their families, and we're going to make that happen, whatever the requirements are. I don't think the people in that DC were necessarily scared of each other, though, right? A lot of the people in that area, it's a small community. They know each other very well, and they were just happy to be working with their friends and family and neighbors. It's
one of the most impressive things I think we did as a company during that time is how we onboarded a brand new distribution center when many people were fearful, and I'm not trying to be dismissive of COVID. It's just COVID, the response to COVID at that time was vastly different from different places and countries and areas. And everyone's situation was unique, and some folks were like, we need the work, we need the job, we need the money. And we didn't know about stimulus right then and there. And so, but we're so grateful that folks came in to work and that it all worked out like it did and that people were safe when we started to learn about face masks and things of that nature. So in your opinion, though people weren't scared, like you said, how difficult or challenging was it given the late March, month of April and that season?
It was definitely a challenge. I don't know if you remember, but at first we wore gloves instead of masks. Do you remember that few weeks section where we were just told to wear gloves?
I may have lost those brain cells. I'm not sure, but
for operations, it was weird, right? But those changes, we knew we were going to have to roll with the punches no matter what happened. We had to be getting this product out of the DC when it's supposed to go out. We had to keep bringing it in. We knew the challenges were going to be there, but our team was incredibly cooperative. They were, like I said, just happy to be there.
Was it gloves because I just remember the sanitizer and got like you couldn't get it, and so everyone thought, well, you can't touch the virus and it's airborne, and so it was out wide just for extra protection.
I think it was before they said everybody needs to start wearing masks. I think we had the gloves for like a couple of weeks, and they said, no, airborne.
Yeah,
make sure you're wearing your mask.
Got it. Well, what are you most proud of having achieved and or accomplished during your time in Four Oaks?
I would have to say it was, learning the outbound process. I have to say you and Manny kind of threw me a curveball when I applied for the position because I'd only done inbound with the company. And you said, hey, we want you to run outbound. And I was a little confused at the time.
We're going to blame that on Manny.
But it was definitely the biggest celebration for me personally was I was able to, in a new facility with just a couple people of support, be able to learn the outbound processes and, make sure we were getting our pieces out and delivered.
Well, you're a problem solver. We knew you could figure it out. And you said you were there for about a year, right?
Yes, sir.
And then did you plan to come back to Charlotte? Did you get asked to come back to Charlotte? Or was that, how did that work out? Or was it a promotion and you're like, yeah, we're ready to come back?
I have to say it wasn't even on my mind. Once again, it was a phone call and saying, hey, we have this role coming available. We think it's right for you. And it just happened to be a manager for inbound at Fort Mill. It was going to be vacant pretty quickly, and I was the first pick for it.
Awesome. Okay. And so then we had, going back while you were in Four Oaks, we had the warehouse fire in Fort Mill, June 5th, 2020. So in the midst of the riots and the social unrest and the aftermath of the tragic events following the murder of George Floyd, we had quite a scare ourselves on June 5th, 2020, when we had a fire at our Fort Mill, South Carolina distribution center. While we had a warehouse full of furniture that we desperately needed to satisfy customer orders, right when the supply chain struggles were beginning, what was your role in the ensuing cleanup?
So at the time I was in Four Oaks, I was not involved in the cleanup. But I was keeping in touch with Homer Smith and Jose Otero to just check in on them, check in on the people, make sure everyone was okay.
Just staying connected.
Through that troubled time.
Okay. Were you surprised that we emerged with barely any merchandise or loss? Did you ever see it or did you only hear it?
I saw the aftermath and the standing water on the ground. And I have to say, I was extremely surprised at just how quickly it was taken care of by the team.
It's like a miracle.
And I mean, from an ops perspective, sometimes we view this fire suppression as an obstacle for us when we want to reshape the racks or reprofile our racks to fit product that's fitting our needs as it's coming in. And sometimes those sprinklers are in the way. But when that happens, you realize how necessary they are.
I like to call it the intelligent design of the sprinkler system, really, because it only dumped the water where it needed to. The fire started outside on the docks and the smoke made its way in, but it was quickly quelled. But the smoke that was in there, we thought it was, yeah. So I'm sure your initial thoughts were, this is not good, like ours were. Yeah. Okay, so I want to shift gears to York Southern. Some people have called it the Annex. Shortly after you had moved back to take over the assistant manager role of operations in June 2021, we leased a satellite warehouse near our Fort Mill campus called York Southern to help us with excess storage. You basically took the ball and ran with it. You owned the project to get that satellite warehouse and processes set up and ready to run like a well-oiled machine. What were the challenges of that project?
Yes, so we initially decided that this is a business need right now because at the time we had started getting massive influx of containers that had been on the water for months longer than they needed to be at that point.
And the pipes got unclogged.
Yeah, the pipes got unclogged all at once and they started hitting us. And we said, I think at that point I was talking to Brian Deckelnick every day saying, hey, we are nearing capacity and we still have these trucks to receive for the day. And it was a constant struggle. So we made that decision that, yes, we need this additional storage space. And we made the decision to only bring in products that would be sitting in the warehouse, if they were still in the warehouse, longer than a week or two. So we were able to efficiently store products in the Fort Mill DC and get them out. And maybe the ones that aren't selling as quickly or shipping as quickly, or we have a huge quantity on hand, keep them over at the York Southern building.
But we couldn't cancel them and we needed them because at that point it's like, just take all you can take. Just whatever.
It was the business need then.
That's right.
We had to get our hands on as much inventory as we needed and we saw it as a great opportunity. But the startup of it was an interesting experience. I remember we went there with Harold, Brian Deckelnick, Manny, Trey Smith, and James Ouellette, and I believe Teresa Wood. If I'm missing anyone else, I apologize. But we heard about this building that was a few miles away down the road from the Fort Mill DC. They opened the door for us, and Charlie, there was 2 to 3 inches of dust standing on the ground. I don't think that place had seen the light of day in about 20 years.
Oh, gosh.
And they had a crew in there trying to sweep it at the time, and this is going to be a struggle. But, we saw how much square footage was available. It was 30,000 square feet or thereabouts. And, we said we can set this up in a floor location format, keep keep this product rolling.
And you were shuttling product from York Southern to Fort Mill to supplement customer orders, like what, daily, 2-3 times a week? Every day.
Every day. So
for several months?
It was from, I believe, August of that year to the following July. So almost a full year.
Oh, wow. And you feel like it was successful? It went well?
It definitely was. Like I said, it fit the business need at the time. It allowed us to keep these products. At first, it was case goods in there, but when we started getting that massive influx of upholstery that they were finally able to get to us, it switched over to upholstery, and we were able to, use that auxiliary storage to make sure we were able to set some record weeks.
Yeah. And so then in March, I believe it was March of this year, you were promoted to our inbound manager in Fort Mill, where you had begun as a supervisor of inbound 3 years earlier. So tell us about the inbound manager role, the team you oversaw, and the accomplishments that you achieved in that role.
Yeah, the team was great. It's like a warehouse is nothing. It's nothing without the people in there, right? It's just a bunch of boxes sitting around, and without the guys who are on that team in these trailers that may be 25 degrees if it's freezing outside, or maybe 110 degrees with the fans running if it's hot outside in there. Without them and without our very experienced forklift operators in that team, we wouldn't have been able to set the records that we set for inbound quantities this year. But being a manager compared to the supervisor it was a lot of change, right? We got to keep track of your employees' performance over a longer period of time, and not just be their coach. You got to more so be their developer. It was a big change from when I started as a supervisor there, but I think that 3-year time span in between really prepared me for it.
Awesome. So most recently, you moved over to this new role as manager of operational excellence. Okay, so what does a manager of operational excellence do exactly?
So our goal with operational excellence is to be the premier operations support team.
Okay.
We do anything from building reports through Excel, getting our needs communicated to BI for data warehouse reports. We also, more so Cherie and I, on the operations side of it, we have a large project underway right now where we're preparing documentation for every step of every single operations position. So we can have a truly satisfying onboarding process where we can say, this is exactly how this is done, and you'll be expected to follow these guidelines within this amount of time. We really just wanted to provide an airtight seal on operations, because that's what I like about operations is we can say, if you follow these rules exactly, we're going to win every single day. And that's what operational excellence is here for.
Awesome. And who's doing the analysis? You're developing these reports and the KPIs, but who's doing the analysis of those reports once they get built? Is it the leader of that role, or is it the OpEx department?
So Sarah Sanchez is our analyst for operational excellence. She has been a huge help. She was also a huge player in our Beacon program for the DCs. So Sarah, James, and I do most of our reporting on Truth Tuesdays and communicate our.
I get all those emails.
Yeah, we communicate our weekly recaps to the department heads so they can then communicate with their teams. Specifically with the playoffs, that one is Sarah Sanchez, and that's a hot topic of discussion for the DCs right now.
Yeah, we'll get into that one, the playoffs. So, but I heard you're also a member of the EPIC team. I believe that's an acronym or an acrostic, whichever the right usage is here, for exponentially passionate, incredible collaborators. I got that from Tim Klaus.
That's right.
And I think we've had Tanya on here and she talked about that. So who came up with that word or acronym or name?
So I wasn't part of the EPIC team when it was created. I was invited to it, but I believe it was James Ouellette or Tim Klaus.
Okay. And then Decoy, you mentioned Decoy earlier. So going from EPIC to another acronym, Decoy. Tell us about the DC of the Year program. I think that's what you're alluding to with the playoffs.
Right. So the DC of the Year is exactly what it sounds like. We have 3 DCs now, and we want to have a healthy competition between those 3 DCs. We created their own identities they created their own identities, and we can dive a little bit deeper into those. But we want to see, based on these KPIs that are extremely important to the business, who's winning each week, who's losing certain things, and we want to be able to keep track of that score and ultimately reward the team that performs the best.
So do you know like some of the top operational metrics that we're measuring and focusing on?
Right. So some of them, one in particular is write-offs as a percent of delivered sales.
Okay.
That's a big one. The teams have, once they understood how these metrics work, they're able to execute in a fashion where they can meet these metrics. Another large one is safety, right? So every week, or if you don't hit any other KPIs, if you have no recordable injuries for your DC, you get 2 points. But if they do have an injury, they could have gained 10 points for that week. They're always going to lose all those and get negative 2 points if they have any safety incidents.
Well, I think that's important to prioritize that metric. Who's currently leading?
Right now, the Four Oaks Falcons are leading the decoy. Yes, sir.
So Four Oaks Falcons, and then there's the Fort Mill Otters and the Spartan Ridge Bruins. Is that because Mike Reinhardt had an affinity towards Boston and Boston Bruins?
It may be. Is
that the rumor there?
I think so.
All right. Sticking with the acronym theme, we put a new twist on a popular Jim Collins acronym, BHAG, which was a big, hairy, audacious goal. Ours is BTAG for big, thriving, audacious goal. How motivating and challenging has it been to have this massive target and goal to pursue for your team all year?
It's been extremely motivating. I was so happy to convey that information to my inbound team at the time and tell them, hey, we're delivering at the time $6 million a week. Guys, this is an achievable goal. And we keep doing what we're doing, bringing in 10 plus trucks a day, really making sure our put away accuracy is there and we're able to pick these pieces without damaging and get them delivered. We can hit it. It has still been a challenge though, getting the product in from AFI and getting everything there that we need. The team's there to get it done. They're just waiting for the work sometimes, but we give them an update every single week in the lobbies of the DCs. We use a device to remotely update these each week for the teams, so they get a weekly update of the BTAG progress. And every time at the DCs, it's, Colin, how close are we to the goals? What percentage are we at? Can you help me understand this graph a little bit?
Yeah. Is that on the Bright Sign system?
It is.
Okay. And where do you think we're going to finish?
I'm hoping for the 300 million.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, by the time this airs, we'll be right there close to it. We're just going to have to crank it up here the last few weeks, but stores are hitting some massive sales for Black Friday. We're recording this before Black Friday. So you guys are talking about it every week in the extra bonus money and how it could be helpful for everyone. Awesome. All right, Colin, you talked about the identities. We talked about the Falcons, the Otters, and the Bruins. And so we like to say purpose begins with the identity. How important are these identities? We never had these before. What do you think when we launched Falcons, Otters, and Bruins? And how important do you think they are?
I think the need for it or the desire for it really started when we opened Four Oaks, the Rock, and the DC. That was our first experience having a distribution center right next to a store. And our employees were seeing that, and they'd see their logo, see their emblem, like, hey, we want something like that. So that's when the seeds for the desire first got planted. So we took that, we saw what retail's doing, and we listened to our people, and we said, we're going to create these. So it was put up to a vote for each DC. They decided on their mascots and what best fits their personalities for the whole DC.
I love it. I'd love to know what the second place votes were, but we don't have to go into that here. Okay, operations. I'm curious, what do you love about operations? You talked about it kind of earlier, and about, hey, you thought that was kind of more suited for you when you're going through your career and how you jumped to Harris Teeter at that time. But what do you love about working in warehouses, distribution centers, and the like, and working in operations?
So I have two main things that I like. Number one is the people. You can build extremely great relationships with your staff, get to know them, and get to see them flourish, develop. It's definitely the people. Like I said, a warehouse without their employees is just a bunch of empty boxes sitting around.
That's number one. What was number two? You said you had two.
My number two for why I love operations is in your day-to-day life, you can do everything right, follow the rules, but sometimes you still don't win. You still don't get that goal, even though you know you've done everything right. But with operations, and you can get the processes set. And if you follow those exactly, we know the business well enough that if we follow these to the T and work as a team, we're going to win every single day.
So the path to win is not murky. It's follow the trust the process, and the path to win
Trust
is
the process.
Yeah, got it. Did you also think or plan that you'd work in a warehouse setting in an operations role like you have now?
As a kid, no. As a kid, I thought I was going to be a rock star.
That's far from a rock star, but you're rocking it out in other ways. You're the Broad River rock star.
I still try to give it a look. So,
I love it. I love it.
No, I didn't see it. Like I said, I was playing music for a few years and thought I'd stick with that. But priorities change, and once I saw Broad River, especially, I said this is the place I want to be.
Awesome. Okay. I want to switch to innovation, invention, creativity, and problem solving. How do you bring each of these to operations?
So I like the innovation. I try to find new ways to solve old problems, right? We can't stay status quo. This is an ever-changing environment. And we can't be afraid to push the envelope, try a couple new processes. That's what I love about Broad River. We're a smaller company where we can say, hey, we want to change. We want to make these changes and try them out.
So we're not afraid to experiment, test, iterate.
That's one of the things I love about this place.
Can you provide one or two examples of how you've applied creativity and innovation or invention to solve a puzzle or a complex problem?
So we knew that we needed to be communicating key KPIs with our DC staff in a format that was easily readable and
100%.
accessible to them.
Yeah.
So
got to know the score.
Got to know where we're standing. So we found this device called BrightSign that we were going to use to remotely update from wherever we are all of our DCs each week on Tuesdays for Truth Tuesday and give them our progress towards the B tag, towards the decoy.
I love it.
Every single week.
And so that's it, putting that into place.
That's one I'd like to give.
Okay. So is this ability to invent, create, solve problems, and innovate something that you're born with? You either have it or you don't, or is it a skill that can be learned and improved upon?
I feel like it's a mix of both. I know since I was a young kid that I loved taking things apart, finding out how they worked, tinkering with engines, tools, whatever it may be. But I also believe that if you have the discipline and desire to want to learn how to do something like that, you'll build it up.
Awesome. Okay, let's shift gears once more. Got a quick get to know Colin Michael at his core icebreaker question for you. So fast forward to your retirement days and you're kicking back on your front porch, maybe your rocking chair, drinking your beverage of choice. Maybe it's lemonade, iced tea, or something stronger. And you're thinking about how you want to be remembered. And what 3 words come to mind that you'd like to describe you?
I would say the way I'd like to be remembered by my peers, family, friends is encouraging, adaptable, and fair.
Awesome. Those are not alike, but they all go together, I think, pretty well. Encouraging, adaptable, and fair. Okay, Colin, let's talk about I'd like to explore the topic of learning from adversity. What adversity or crucible moments did you experience early in your life, and how have those experiences shaped you in who you are today?
So while I was in high school, coming out of the couple years after that, I lost a good bit of my friends through various outcomes, but I always felt like they never got to experience their full life and really see what the world has to offer. So I feel like I owe it to them, owe it to the memory of my friends to experience as much as there is for them.
Wow. And when you say lost, they passed away.
They did pass away, yes.
I'm so sorry. That's unfortunate. And so you're really trying to live more than just your life, right? To carry their honor and their legacy with you. So I can see so you try to suck all the marrow out of life that there is and enjoy, appreciate every moment, right?
Exactly.
And always learn new things, try new things.
Try not to stay idle.
Yeah.
There's always something we can be doing.
I love it. I love it. Make the most out of every 24 hours. So I know that it takes a village to achieve success. Who are some of the unsung heroes of your world? Like, what do they do or have done to help you or that have helped you? I
would say number one is definitely my grandfather. He is a constant source of encouragement, congratulations. And I can also just bounce, ethical dilemmas that I'm going through or moral dilemmas that I'm facing with him. And, he's 72 years old. He's got a lot more life. He's 3 times older than I am. He's going to give me that advice.
That's awesome. So let's just segue to advice. What's the best advice you've ever received? And did it come from him?
I think the best advice I received was kind of built over time and from 2 different people. So it started with Keegan Malunza at Four Oaks giving me the advice that that we have all these people working alongside of us at Broad River or any department or any company that you're at. You have people that are in their specialized roles for a reason. And I can't try to do everything myself. I've got to rely on my team. And then when Tim Klaus came in, he's big on be a sorter, not a savior. So Keegan gave me that advice to look at my peers, and Klaus gave me that advice to look at, our memory makers.
That's great. Do you keep up with Keegan now?
I try to.
Yeah. Where is he? Is he back on the West Coast?
He's back on the West Coast.
Okay. So I love that. Be a sorter, not a savior, which I've heard Tim say before. And people are in their roles for a reason. Got it. What advice do you share with rookies on their first day with the company?
Once again, trust in the process.
Yeah. And how do you unpack that for them?
They might not necessarily know what I mean. They're brand new to the company. So we give them a walkthrough on their first day so they know the building. And we really, as soon as they hit the floor, they're paired up with their trainer.
Okay.
So they know exactly what's going on, go over their training documents. And now with our operational excellence, working on our navigation for these guys, it's going to be, I think that'll even help unpack it even more. But it's really just listen to your trainers, listen to your managers. We're going to have the best in mind for you.
Awesome. Okay, I know we're biased, but we believe that our culture at the River is unique and really special. What is your favorite thing about our culture here at the River? And in your opinion, what is it that makes our culture special?
It has a perfect framework by the people that are in the positions that they are. We have all the right people in all the right positions, and that just makes everything flow so much easier when you know everyone's in their natural state and doing what they're best at.
I like that. You guys always seem to be making it fun, like unique, out of the ordinary in ops, always coming up with random days of the year or something, the day to celebrate. Who comes up with these themes and ideas, and how do those come about?
So 2022, everything was by the events committee, led by Trey Smith, and he got some good ones on there. And I think 2023, the Epic team was trying to help out with that. You get a couple of days marked on the calendar, get a couple celebrations on there, and with the help of the events committee at each DC, we'll put it in action.
So you've already got the calendar set?
We do for 23.
Okay, I can't wait. Does this include Tim Klaus getting on LinkedIn and posting a lot of videos and pictures?
I think Tim's going to be handing it off to someone soon, but don't you love those?
I do.
It's great.
Do you know what his brother asked him? Are you getting paid for every post?
Right, are you getting bonus on that? Yeah.
That's so funny. What have been some of your most memorable or favorite themes or activities that you all have executed thus far?
I would have to say my favorite one, most memorable, has been April Fool's Day for 22. Was we got the box of Krispy Kreme donuts, and they make that box with a picture of donuts in it. And so many times throughout that day, sitting in the front office, you see someone lift the box up and be like, "Oh man!" Like
there's nothing in there.
There was a picture of donuts in the box, and it looked like they were in there when we started.
That's the worst.
Those days and getting the days where all our team wear their decoy shirts has been fantastic to see. Yeah,
that's cool. Well, you may have heard that we were just recognized by Furniture Today as one of the top 10 best places to work in America in the furniture industry. How proud are you of this designation, and what do you think it means to your team?
I think our team knew that it was a long time coming anyway, right?
Oh, really?
I think we just now got the recognition for it, but our teams knew it. That's why we have so many senior operations staff that have been with the company for years. They see what we do. They see how we do it. They love their management. They love their team members. The culture is there for them to grow, to develop. And yeah, it's a long time coming.
We were just like, what took y'all so long to get this report out to
Exactly.
measure the company, full company? Hey, so do you think it'll help positively impact recruiting efforts, or will it just, hey, we were going to have those recruiting efforts in, the same anyways?
I think it will help out with recruiting. It's just another perk to add on there, right? Like, hey, and come on, take the plunge into the river.
It's
we were nominated.
Yeah,
Here
another
you go.
vote of confidence. So we're wrapping up this year. The year was the word of the year was thrive. Did you thrive in 2022?
I did, and it was really vicariously through my team.
Really?
I love seeing my team have the tools for success and being able to function without the need for any form of micromanagement.
I love that. What advice did you give them along the way that helped them thrive?
Yeah, so the main advice I gave, say, for example, a Lyft driver, hey, this is the Lyft you typically use. Let me know what's going on with it so we can do the preventative maintenance and get this taken care of. So you've got the best tool in the industry to move these pieces around, or same thing with any other equipment for our scanners or our hand trucks for our receivers. But it was also giving them the tools that they need to communicate properly with their team.
Yeah.
That was a big, with our receivers, it's 5-6 guys in a truck all day together. They've got to communicate, lift heavy things, and being able to get your point across correctly and politely with your team. They've been functioning really well.
It sounds like staying in constant feedback with them and giving them the tools to do their job, and then trusting them to do their job.
And Stacy Pittman, the current manager for Inbound's, just taken that and ran with it.
Really?
She's built a very devoted, highly refined team.
That's awesome. All right, so we're wrapping up a record-setting year in 2022. What do you do for an encore? How do you level up in 2023?
We get a 99.99 or higher percent on our full physical inventory on January 8th.
I love that. So, and then what do you do to raise your standards or to elevate your performance and do better in 2023 in what many people are saying will be a down year or a recession year in the economy?
So I've mentioned it to our team members. I've mentioned it to my peers. It's, hey, we've got to make sure every delivery goes off without a hitch.
No wasted cycles.
No pieces going out for a ride. We've got to make sure that we have no second attempts going out.
So you're just raising the ante and like, we got to take this thing serious to continue to grow and thrive. What do you think are or have been the secrets to your success, Colin?
I will say it has been the constant encouragement from our team members, my peers, and also my wife, right? She kind of, if I'm getting too far down a rabbit hole for something, she kind of reins me back in and say, hey, take a breath. It's going to be
awesome.
all right.
That's awesome. I love encouragement. What are your best daily habits that have served you well?
Sure. So when I get home, I like to take 30 minutes to an hour just for self-reflection and meditation, focus on breathing, unwind for the day. Don't let work follow me home, and just really kind of look at myself from a third view and say, am I doing the best that I could today, and how can I improve tomorrow?
I love that. That's a great practice. What about morning rituals? Do you have any of those?
Wake up out of bed, style my hair, and start that drive to work.
I got it. You're more on the backside of it.
I'm more of a sleep in kind of guy.
I love it. Which is strange for an ops guy, but I guess not for a band guy.
Right. You're right.
So mentorship is so important. You talked about your grandfather. Where or from whom do you get your mentorship? And maybe it is your grandfather.
It is from my grandfather within Broad River. It's James Ouellette and Tim Klaus.
Yeah, two great guys to do that. What about your inspiration and motivation? Where does that come from?
I have to say my inspiration comes from seeing, I love spending time with other licensees or other distribution environments and see if we're doing things the most efficient way possible. Or sometimes even looking at completely different industries and see if there's parallel thinking, see if there's anything else we can use or any processes that we could change and improve at Broad River.
Is this mostly from folks coming to see us or from you going out to see others?
It's a mix of both. I know last year I actually took a vacation down to Tampa. We decided to go down to Orlando for a day and swung by City Furniture, saw how they were doing some things. And, but we also have lately had a lot of people coming to visit Broad River to see how we use stores, how we handle our product, and getting their input and seeing what they think and what they think of our processes has been really nice for it.
All right. So what trips do you have planned for 2023 for learning and development and to see other places?
Constant trips out to Four Oaks and Spartan Ridge to see the team, make sure our processes are being followed correctly, and make sure they don't have any questions about it or anything's breaking. But I don't plan that far ahead. I'm more of an impromptu trip kind of guy.
Well, we got to get some trips planned for you to go see some other A+ first class premier distribution centers to bring some more ideas back to the river. Hey, what is one thing about Broad River that you think would surprise others from the outside looking in? Maybe a misperception or something?
It's more than just a distribution company. It's more than just a retail company. Primarily, if they're looking at ops, we are one big team. We may have separate departments, but we all serve the same customer, and we all get along really well with each other.
Okay, I love that. What is something about you that would surprise your fellow memory makers, except other than you were in a metal band recently?
I may not look like it, but I enjoy a lot of fishing. Okay. And a lot of horse riding.
Why do you say you may not look like it? Because horse riders are shorter. You're a tall guy.
I dress like I'm still in a metal band most of the time.
All right. Where do you go? What do you like to fish? What kind of fish?
I love bass fishing.
Okay.
Any pond. I saw one down the street from here when I was pulling out. I was like, oh, I might stop by there on the way back.
So what do you love about fishing?
It's like a puzzle. You've got to figure out the right lure to use based on the weather, the water, the temperature, the air pressure, what the fish like, what they don't like. It's just to find what they're gonna like. And as soon as you figure it out, it just snaps. You may be throwing the same lure for 30 minutes, not get anything. You change up the color, and as soon as it hits the water, they're on it.
Really? Yeah. And how long have you been an active fisherman?
Since I was about 6.
Oh, wow. So, okay. Those roots run deep. If you could change one thing about the company today with the wave of a magic wand, what would it be?
I would change our returns, primarily the percentage coming back.
You'd have them be less?
I'd have them be less.
A lot less?
A lot less.
Okay.
Ideally, we know returns are going to happen. 1% returns would be phenomenal.
That's the best answer. That's the best answer I've ever had on this. Yeah, I'd love to have those go down to 1%. That'd be a good magic wand change.
And not just for the stats, but we want to get our customers their furniture when they expect it.
There's so many reasons for it, and you're absolutely right. Okay, so let's say that I decided to retire, and I gave you the keys to the company, and you're the new president and CEO of Broad River Retail, and today's your first day in the new role. Congratulations. What would be your first order of business?
First day in the role, I'm a firm believer that you can't make any major changes until you're completely comfortable with the role and people are comfortable with the change. So my first order of business would just be gather everyone and say, this is our heritage. This is how far we've come. This is where we started. And, thank you to everyone that's been in this role previously.
Awesome. So gather, communicate, heritage, and then we're going forward. I love it. Okay. Do you feel that working at the river has positively impacted your desire for personal growth and development?
Definitely. I find myself trying to earn new certifications, learn new skills, try new things related to Broad River almost every single day since I've been working here.
That's great. And how do you sharpen your saw? What do you do to improve your skill set and to invest in your own personal growth and development?
Right. I try to take any, certification classes that I can. Currently, I'm working on a CAPM, hopefully a PMP in the future, to try to develop my project management, especially with this role in operational excellence.
Those are great. Those will translate really well. Now, the PMP, CAPM, I'm not familiar with.
It's the level before the PMP, certified associate.
I got it. Are you an avid reader?
I read, but not necessarily business-related books.
Well, what book are you currently reading?
Currently, right now, I'm reading the Kybalion and the Enchiridion of Epictetus.
So you're into Stoicism?
I'm into Stoicism, yes.
Okay. Will you send me the link to that book and we'll share it, put it in the show notes?
Of course.
Do you follow Ryan Holiday and the Daily Stoic?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I've seen his YouTube.
Yeah. And his latest book was Discipline is Destiny.
It is.
Yeah. Have you read it or is it on your...
No, I've heard of it and it's on my to-do list as soon as I finish the Enchiridion.
I think the other ones are Courage is Calling, the obstacle is the way, and discipline is destiny. So he's got a good alliteration or phonetic sounding for those titles. So other than this one, what are your favorite podcasts?
I don't listen to too many, like I said, I don't read too many business books. I don't listen to too many business podcasts. My two favorite, there is an animation and online company that I've been following since its inception back when I was like 7 years old when they came out. It's called Rooster Teeth.
Rooster Teeth?
Rooster Teeth. I listen to their podcast every week that it's out. Also listen to the Duncan Trussell Family Hour. Duncan Trussell Family Hour.
What is that all about?
He's a comedian, and he has different, he's had some Stoicism guests on there. He's had some other comedians as guests.
Okay, we're almost done. I'm almost got you off the hot seat here. When you stop working for the day and have some time for yourself or your family, after you've done your 30 to 60 minutes of self-reflection, and maybe it's fishing, what else do you like to do for fun or to relax?
Yeah, when the weather's nice, definitely love to go out and fish for a couple of hours, and then if not, spend time with my wife, with our dogs, play with our dogs.
How many dogs do you have?
We have two.
And what kind are they?
We have a German Shepherd, Spanish Mastiff mix, and a Pit Bull.
Okay. Do they get along?
They do. They love each other.
That's awesome.
But along with that, we like to spend time with my grandparents out on the property, make this farm look nice.
Okay. What all animals are on the farm?
So there are cows next door, chickens. We have our own horses. Yeah.
So tell me about your experience with cars and motorcycles. You said that you had, your car didn't start when your first day. You hopped on the motorcycle, it was gassed up and ready to go. So I heard you put them together, you fixed them, or?
Yeah. So as far as the motorcycles, at the time I was in my previous company, and I loved them. I always liked them growing up. I wanted to get one. I said, "Babe, I want to get a motorcycle." She said, "Okay, don't kill yourself." Started riding them there. And I think I rode every day for about a year and a half because I was driving an old car at the time. Something happened to it, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to fix this. I love riding the motorcycle. I'll keep riding it every single day. And it just so happened that I never got rained on going to work.
That's
I'd
awesome.
get rained on coming home, but
not going to work.
Never going to work. And with cars, we have a group of friends that we've been friends since high school, and we all work on cars together, customize cars, build them. And that same group of friends we play volleyball with every Saturday.
That's cool. I'd like to have you on my team then, because I'm sure you're spiking the balls all the time. I will set it to you. I don't want to get spiked on though. So do you talk to anyone else in our company who rides motorcycles?
I know Arturo Oliva used to, Greg Cantrell rides motorcycles, and Casey Wilson, both of them at Four Oaks do.
Kim Harkness does as well.
Kim Harkness rides motorcycles?
She does. That's why.
Way to go, Kim.
You can talk to her about that as well. She's a woman of many talents and skills and interests. So what's the story with the horses? Do you ride horses? Your grandparents have horses? You have horses on the farm?
Yeah, so my grandparents have had horses since I was a kid. They've always had them. They've always been into it. So when we were really young, they put me and my cousins and brother up on there and let us ride around, and it's just something that never really stopped, right? We'd saddle them up, take care of them. It's just a fun time.
That's
awesome.
Awesome.
To bond with the animal.
That's awesome. Final advice to someone who is not a memory maker and is thinking of coming to the river, Colin, what advice would you offer to that person?
The water's warm. Come take the plunge.
The water's warm. Come take the plunge. Love it. Hey, is there anything else you want to say, Colin?
No, I think we covered everything, Charlie.
We covered a lot of ground. Thanks so much for making time. Hey, before I let you off the hot seat, I did ask some of your coworkers if they could share some words. Do you mind if I read them here?
No, not at all.
All right. So the first one, our biggest fan of the podcast, he watches these things right when they drop. You know who I'm going to say, right?
I'm not sure.
Keith Henderson.
Really?
Yeah, he's the biggest fan. We've had him on here. You've watched his podcast. Colin is one of the smartest young men I know. His forward thinking at times is futuristic, like the Jetson cartoon series. His strive for excellence for himself and his team makes him one of Broad River's MVPs.
Thank you, Keith.
Yeah, from Sarah Sanchez. Colin has an amazing drive, work ethic, and zest for life. He confuses me in the best way possible by being both an even-keeled, thoughtful, patient listener and one of the most intense adrenaline junkies. He is a top-notch collaborator, and you can trust that whatever puzzle you put in front of him, he will figure it out. Colin is amazing, and we are so fortunate to have him. My wife likes puzzles. I'm going to let you guys do some puzzle challenges together. Okay, here we go. James Willett. Who is Colin to me? Creative. He's the different mind that we all love having on our team. Dependable. Set your watch to this guy. He's never let me down. Honest. I've never had any reason to doubt his honesty or sincerity. Resilient. Colin has weathered more storms than I can count over the years. This man keeps standing strong, and if he's knocked down, always gets back up with vigor. Self-driven. Loves reading. Has taken pilot lessons. Fixes his own motorcycles and cars, etc., etc. Unique. Is his own man by all means. Style, interests, lifestyle. Family values. Ask about his relationship with his parent, grandparents, and wife. Loyal. He is always loyal to the team's calls and those with whom he's in the trenches with. He's a good man. He goes on to say, Colin is one of those people that I feel fortunate to know and work with over the last 5 years and 2 companies, and I will always pull for this guy. He's truly special. At Harris Teeter, he was hired as a laborer, but I urged him to apply for one of our clerk roles after a few impressive conversations with him. He always had several ideas on how to improve processes or the work environment. He goes on, I always thought Colin was a bright young man that just needed an opportunity to grow and shine. Examples of why he's a great teammate in a storm. At Broad River, COVID. He was part of our operations team that had to come into work every day during the pandemic. He did a fantastic job of keeping everyone's spirits high and efficiency up. Fire. A miserable time for all of us, but picking up the pieces of a horrible event and managing the aftermath, he jumped right in and was side by side with us with a positive attitude. Four Oaks DC startup. He was involved in the setup, literal, and startup process operations leadership. Later, he showed resiliency while bridging the management vacuum when Keegan moved on until there was a replacement. Owning the annex, taking a dust-covered box and turning it into a well-oiled machine, helping us in the thick of supply chain woes. And at Harris Teeter, he talks about snowstorms. Half of your workers don't show up and you have double the number of cases to move. Colin would bill and set all of the data in motion for the shipping team to start the day. Then he would run cross-dock. Then he would select cases. Then he would help make system adjustments. Then he would load a truck. Then he would help close out the shift and be back in 8 hours to keep everything moving again because it was always a several-day event. Flooding. Sprinkler heads in the facility, this is again at Harris Teeter, would often be clipped by a forklift driver. These were special events because the water would start flowing and the fire alarms going off and the local fire department dispatched. Let's just say you needed to have a calm head and strong leadership skills to keep 50 plus workers aligned on what's going on and when to return to work. And then family values. He's always talking positively and sincerely about his wife, parents, and grandparents. He often helps his grandparents get the horses back in the barn. Actually, a good question for him. He always lights up and laughs about his horse stories. Just a few more. From Homer, aka Trey Smith. It has been a pleasure working with Colin over the years and seeing him evolve from a receiving supervisor to his current role as a manager in operational excellence. Colin has always challenged the status quo with his innovative thought process and execution of a game plan. He is a true team player who is always willing to share tribal knowledge to better everyone around him. Looking forward to our continued partnership. Tim Klaus. From my first day, Colin has stood out from the rest. Colin brings poise, super smart, dedicated, hard work every day. Colin's inquisitive mind is so impactful to our ops team. As a member of our Epic team, Colin brings the future, helps us understand what the next generation will be looking for. Are documents scalable? Will they be understood? Any new technology we are looking to implement is led by Colin. Bright sign, touchscreen monitors, the next thing. Colin has a long runway. We are better each day with Colin on our team. From the bottom of my heart, I appreciate Colin to the max. I really enjoy hanging with him, always introducing me to new bands. I got to get on these new bands. Thank you, Colin. Excited to start 2023.
Wow.
Two more. Cherie Rivera. Colin is a very special person. He is genuine, fun, but also serious. He is both musically and artistically gifted and dedicates time to embrace his creativity. He is a free spirit and sees the best in everyone. I enjoy working with Colin for so many reasons. Colin is a problem solver and embraces each opportunity with enthusiasm. He's a great partner and shares his knowledge and experience freely. Having Colin on the team makes us better, and I look forward to what we will work through together. And finally, from Manny, I am so thankful for Colin's curiosity and drive for excellence. He was instrumental in opening our Four Oaks, North Carolina campus, and most recently our York Southern satellite warehouse. Colin is constantly looking for ways to improve our process while providing ops memory makers with a robust set of SOPs and innovative ways to achieve premier results. We are blessed to have Colin on our team family. I think they all said it well, Colin. Thank you so much for what you do, your leadership and your drive, your growth, and keep being you, man, and keep pushing for operational excellence.
Going to try to keep growing, Charlie.
That's awesome. Let's have a great 2023. Happy New Year to you. Hey, Happy New Year to you all. We try to bring you fresh new content every Wednesday morning here at the river, fresh from the river. And listen, wherever you're listening or watching, if you're on YouTube, mash that subscribe button so you never miss an episode, or hit that like button, or send us some comments or feedback. Let us know how we can do better, grow the podcast, or serve you better, and make it even better in 2023 in the new year. Or if you're on Apple, Google, Amazon, Spotify, don't miss an episode, subscribe, hit that like button, let us know how we're doing. And hey, if you don't like it, let us know too. Maybe we'll get a new host in 2023. We'll figure out how to make this thing better. We promise you guys. Hey, thank you guys so much. Have a safe, wonderful, happy new year, and let's go get it in 2023. Thank you guys.